You need pros, trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
Two Men in a Truck.
Hello, I'm Mark Sears with Regency Printing. With over 10 years in the printing business, I know you'll find Regency Printing the place for all your local printing needs. Plus, I have fax services, mailbox rentals, notary service, U.S. mail, pack and ship, all at one convenient location, 2375 Northeast 25th Avenue. Just look for the yellow signs. Regency Printing, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Regency Printing.
On the first and third Wednesday mornings each month at 9:05 a.m., Robert Colin with On Top of the World will be our guest as we learn all about the exciting lifestyle and new home choices available at Ocala's premier adult active community, On Top of the World. From time to time, Robert will bring guests, and you're sure to enjoy our little chats. After all, you deserve the world, and we bring it to you.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. A few of our tractor services include bush hogging, disking, and rototilling. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are family-owned and operated, licensed and insured, and farm-ready. Powell Gene, Gene, at yahoo.com, 352-629-2440. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. Gene is a proud United States veteran.
Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention, and God bless America.
It's Monday. Not sure how you did it, but you actually survived an entire 2 days without hearing from Tom. Good job to you. And once again, good luck.
Welcome back to Ocala Talk. Monday. The shocking firing of Fire Chief Shane Alexander. When I say shocking, the union president and Ocala Fire Rescue Captain Richard Grubbs said he's disappointed about Alexander's termination. He said he got new equipment, new buildings, and did everything he could to help the men and women in the department. We're shocked. We don't know what happened, Grubbs said. He spoke with city councilmen about it. He said, while he would not give names, he said two of the members said that he was classified as surprised, shocked, and concerned. The other two told him they supported the decision. Former union president, Captain Rob Altman, calls Alexander a very good fire chief and a leader, and he said it was a surprise. In studio now, with surprise written all over her face, is political pundit Sue Mosley. Sue, good morning.
Good morning, Tom. Well, it's been an exciting weekend, hasn't it?
It has been an exciting weekend.
The political climate of the city of Ocala.
I've said numerous times, you think you want to run for public office? Run for president. It's a much easier run than city council or county commissioner, because while it gets ugly on the national scale, politics can get real ugly, and you see those people in the Publix aisles when you're shopping.
Well, local politics, is my passion, and hence why I'm here. But this was shocking, and, there's a lot of layers.
There's an onion here. There's an onion here.
There's a lot of layers. This is so much bigger than Ocala Fire Rescue that I don't think people realize. And that's part of the situation here. Was this a politically motivated hit?
Well, they were both up for the same position after John Zobler stepped aside. And so, by the way, Sandra got it 4-1.
Right.
She won it, but with.
Was there a situation beforehand where Shane got it 3-2? And then,
then we had a felon.
I'm sorry, it was 3-1.
It was 3-1.
We didn't have a council member.
Right, and then they redid it.
They redid it.
Right.
So was there angst and animosity going into the job with Sandra and Shane when this began? I would think yes. As a woman, I'm sure. I mean,
Was there
that's an assumption.
was there backroom wrangling by Chief Alexander to try to remove her from her post? Some people have asked that question.
But before we get to that, what's critical right now, what do we have unprecedented right now going on in the city of Ocala that we haven't had? It's in the 30 years I've been doing politics. We have 4 council seats up for re-election. 4. That has never occurred.
2 incumbents.
2 incumbents.
And 2 people are stepping aside. And the incumbents, by the way, aren't shoo-ins to be reelected.
Correct. And the interesting thing in following politics in this particular city council election cycle is we have more people coming out of the woodwork.
And the mayor's up for election, too.
And the mayor, more people coming out of the woodwork than ever for these $200, $300 a month council jobs, which is great.
That is a good thing.
It's a good
100%.
thing. I love it. But we have some controversial people that are floating around making rumors. They're going to run for this, and they're going to come out at last minute, and who's going to run up against the mayor. So there's a lot of possibility
but
that the council can be turned over from a Republican council to a Democrat.
Well, it's supposed to be a non-partisan council.
As well as I do that
I'm well aware.
There's people like me all over this county that are fighting for their own party.
But let's get back to the fire chief. He was terminated.
Yes.
And in Florida, you can terminate for cause.
Yeah.
Okay. But I haven't seen any cause. I see all these newspaper articles. Where's the termination letter? Where is the charges that Shane Alexander was derelict of duty or something? Was he out carousing in bars late at night? What the hell did Shane Alexander do to get fired on a Friday afternoon? By the way, at a very opportune time where nobody could really speak about it until Monday morning. So people had the entire weekend to get their ducks in a row.
Well, let me address that because I have seen the termination letter. I have the termination letter. And as far as my opinion, it was unwarranted. And it was really done very egregiously with no investigation, no due process. And the allegations are
was Shane even aware of these? Was he even aware of the allegations?
He had absolutely no idea. I've had conversation with him as well as several other people. He had no idea this was coming. And, honestly, just like you do, I keep my eye on what's going on. Now, I don't have any connection to Ocala Fire Rescue, but I have community involvement. I've been involved with Shane. Him and his wife are everywhere. They're at every activity. They're very connected to the community. He's done everything that the last fire chief that they fired that didn't do any of that because he wasn't community involved and he didn't have a political presence. Shane has done everything that, they've wanted him to do. And he's very well received and well respected within his organization, within the fire department.
So you've seen the termination letter.
I have seen the termination letter, and the problem that I have.
What is there had to be a reason in the termination letter.
The very first sentence of the termination letter is very, very disturbing, and the very first sentence states that 2 business people came into the city manager's office to complain about Shane. Now, those 2 business people. Here's where we peel the layers, because first of all, who are these 2 business people?
But they weren't named in the letter.
What are they? They're not named. What are they connected to? Who are they? What's their motivation? Do they do work for the city? There's a lot of questions there. Where is their special interest? Who are they?
So let me get this right. I want to go slow so people understand. 2 citizens off the street,
like
business owners supposedly, walked in and said, "We have a problem with Shane Alexander. Here's our problem." The problem was never discussed with the chief. The problem was never brought up to an advisory board or anything.
Let me correct you. They did not have the meeting to speak about Shane Alexander.
Oh.
They had the meeting to speak about one of the assistant city managers and complain about him. The meeting then got redirected somehow to Shane Alexander. So they went in to complain about one of the city managers, and here's one of my big issues. I'm not going to say who.
And you've talked to people that have explained this
I've
to you.
talked to several of the players, the horses in this, so I have very accurate information. I'm not going to say who. But the one of the business people has come forward to say this was me, I was in this meeting, this was my meeting. And that person stated that they went in there to complain about some issues with one of the city managers, the assistant city managers, which there are two of. They then go on to say that it was redirected to some complaints about Shane Alexander. Okay, so is that hearsay, Tom? Is that, what is that? Because now can Sue Mosley and Tom Schmidt walk into the city manager with a list of people that we don't like and get them fired? Because I got a list a mile long.
Look.
And I'm the first one to throw people under the bus if they ticked me off. So, is that a new protocol? This is unprecedented, and this is what should never have happened.
And was there documentation that these complaints were looked into?
No investigation, no documentation, and it based on hearsay.
And I know, in a conversation I had with the mayor that was on the record yesterday, when he talked about, she came into his office, shut the door, and said, "I've relieved Shane Alexander of his duties." Did you talk to him? Nope, just fired him. She said she's admitted she didn't. This was not something she discussed with the fire chief. She just relieved him of his duties.
Well, where's the due process? Thank you. Aren't we all entitled to that?
And isn't there a firefighter's Bill of Rights?
Yes, there is.
For the state of Florida,
which he falls under.
So, if I'm reading this right, just the first layer. Already the city manager has put us as taxpayers in a position where we're going to have to spend taxpayers' money to defend a possible lawsuit if the chief wants to do this.
Yet another expensive city lawsuit.
If the chief wants to take legal action.
If I were him, he should. That would be my recommendation.
Now, let me ask you this. And clearly this is coming off top of Tom's head. There's I don't know if you know the answer to this, if you want to even speak to it or anything, but I know there's a fire assessment issue. And I know when the fire assessment stuff happened, Matt Brower was the city manager.
Correct.
An assistant city manager at the time was named Sandra Wilson.
Correct.
Who was over the finance area of the city.
Correct.
Who was part of the people that negotiated the fire assessment ruling and everything.
Correct.
Could there be a scapegoat situation going on here?
Hello. If the shoe fits, that's where I come in.
And that's straight off the top of my head.
That's where I'm trying to tell people this is so much bigger than Ocala Fire Rescue.
Because the fire assessment's fixing to be a mess for the city.
It's fixing to be a mess. It's an $80 million lawsuit that they are.
Yeah.
Right now they're charged to pay it out. It's already gone through court.
And by the way, a judge is probably going to say, I've talked to legal people in Tallahassee. I've talked to lawyers here in town. I've talked to lawyers in Jacksonville. They say in their legal opinion, the judge is probably going to say, look, you received the fire service. Yes, they took the money erroneously, but you still received the service. Mm-hmm. It's a wash here. Mm-hmm. You got the service, move on. There's going to be some people angry about that if that's the judgment. Mm-hmm. But we don't know that's going to be the judgment.
And let me just quickly say and point out that, 12 years ago on the school board, I was the one fighting this because it was double taxation and school taxes were going to pay fire assessment fees twice.
Right.
And we kept it tied up in litigation, and a recent Democrat got elected, and in 2 weeks of her office, she reversed it and gave the money to the city. So, but I'm not bitter. But, anyway.
But
you're
the fire assessment,
correct.
Just off the top of my head, I went, is the fire assessment, because Shane was in on those talks and everything. He wasn't.
Shane came
no, I don't think he was. He came in the end of it, right?
That whatsoever. Yeah. Not one iota.
But is the fire department?
Is
there a chance the fire department's going to try to be blamed for this? And because he's head of the fire department.
If I'm the city manager and I got a new council up there with 4 new members, and I sit there and say I've already taken care of the problem, it was Shane Alexander, and I've since fired him. Boom, I'm off the hook, aren't I?
And this is speculation, folks.
That's just
complete speculation.
Is that part of the reason why these weak allegations? And there's 2 more allegations.
What are the other allegations?
Termination letter. One is that his vehicle was sitting idle for a long period of time, and he did not have any city cell phone use during the time that the vehicle was idle. So
what do you mean by sitting idle?
Well, who's to say he didn't pull up, see a wreck on the side of the road? There's nobody's responded to it yet. He happens. You and I just pulled up on a wreck on 17th Street.
Right.
And I could have, if somebody was hurt, I would have helped. So he sees somebody, he pulls up, he's on the side of the road for an hour, and he's assisting waiting for his people to get there or calling it in or helping in some manner. Or he's just, I pulled him over to have a chit chat for a minute about something in the community.
Or now you mean idle? His car was running.
His vehicle was running. They're on GPS,
right?
So I don't know if it means it was necessarily cranked and running.
So he could have been at the mall doing a radio show that lasted an hour,
correct.
like he's done numerous times.
City cellular calls
because he's on the radio with me.
Correct.
Because there's been numerous times he's come on the radio and spent an hour with me.
Correct. And I spoke to somebody in management in the city, and I said the very same thing. I said, that is weak. I said, that is weak because did you pull records? Do you know where he was? I mean, was he, at the gym working out, or was he, like you said, on a radio show? So that, if I were Shane and I were to get an attorney, I think that would be wiped out. So the other one was that apparently 2 years ago, someone in the community, again, and I didn't realize that just as a nobody in the community, you can just have such influential power, but somebody in the community made reference that they felt offended by the way Shane had solicited a United Way donation. Now, I get offended when people ask me for money all the time.
Yeah, but usually when I ask you for money, it's because I'm short and I need to get another Miller Lite.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, and this comes from somebody who does fundraising almost on a professional basis.
You do. The Christmas parade needs funds, by the way.
And I've been doing fundraising for years for the police department,
right.
for various charities around town. And I ask people for money all the time. And I am abrasive at times with people that I'm very close with. I'll be like, just write the damn check. But that's me. That's my personality. Now,
by the way,
I don't see Shane Alexander
by the
doing
way,
that.
If she ever said to one of her close friends, write me the damn check, that would be a nice way for her to say it. Let's clear that up. But so now let me rewind here because I'm slow.
Oh, and first let me say, and that was never written up. He was
never paperwork put on it. Okay, so
never reprimanded for that.
So I'm a good old boy from South Georgia, North Florida. I grew up in Jacksonville, Callahan. We'll chew on a piece of Bahia grass and wear overalls. Mm-hmm. We ain't that smart.
Right.
Okay?
We know that.
Right. And I'll be the first to admit it. I ain't that smart. Two citizens come in. They come in to talk about one subject. The other, this conversation turned somehow. We don't know how the conversation turned.
Right. We don't know.
But the conversation turned to what they thought about the fire chief.
Right.
That's the first allegation.
Correct.
The second allegation is his car was sitting idle without him having any contact to anybody in the city using his city paid for phone for an hour.
Well, I don't know how.
Or how long. What time period it was.
Yeah.
And that's suspicious. And then the third thing is 2 years ago, another citizen came in and said, I didn't like the way I was handled when he asked me for a donation. Am I here? Is that the three things that are in the termination letter?
Of it. That is the Sue Mosley condensed version of it. But yes.
And none of this was looked into. None of this was.
And there's the problem.
There wasn't a group at the city manager's office that looked into this. There was no investigation to the allegations. Everybody's word was taken at face value.
And let's say this: if indeed these allegations are terminatable allegations, and they have been verified and justified, and they're accurate to be true, sworn in a court of law. And they're, he can be terminated, then fine.
By all means, terminated.
See you, goodbye. But you and I both know these are not necessarily strong allegations. You've got two business people. One actually does business with the city, so he has a motivation.
They have motivation.
And the other one has no real affiliation. I'm not quite sure why they were even involved. So was that, what is it? Self-promotion? Is it business advancement? Is it, what was the motivation behind it? And, what is their ethnicity? Who are these two mysterious people that hold such credibility and power with the city manager?
And the fact that no city council person was made aware of this until after the fact.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Although Jay Musley says and Councilman Musley says in the interview with Ocala.com and Ocala Gazette as well, that he was made aware it was going to happen. So I guess he knew before that it was going to happen.
Chairman? Who's the chairman? Him or Justin?
think it's Justin.
I think it is too. Here's my.
But
Here's,
if it is Justin, and I'll check, I'll look at that. I think
I
it's
can't
Justin.
remember.
But if it is Justin Graybell, and he was not made aware as city council president, he wasn't made aware.
I have not had a conversation with Justin, and I've been meaning.
I've
to
reached
reach
out to
him.
Justin. I've
Did he
texted
say
him.
So you don't know
text-
if he was aware or not.
No,
I
I've
can't-
texted
I don't-
him.
I don't want to answer to
I've
that 'cause I
texted
don't-
him,
I don't
and
know
he
the
is not.
accurate
He has
answer.
not answered me back. And the newspapers, both newspapers, the Gazette and the Ocala Star Banner,
Didn't
both
close
reached
it.
out and didn't get any response back from him or Matthew Wardell.
Well, let me say this, and I'm going to put this out there, and as a former politician, this is what I'm going to put out there. I'm going to have an extremely large issue with Brent Molliver and Jay Musley if they do not take a stand on this because they have opponents and they're up for re-election. Because there's nothing I hate worse than a politician who goes into lame duck mode because they're being opposed and may possibly win or lose the upcoming election.
Now, the city manager, as Jay Musley said, it is within her purview in the city charter to hire and fire people that work under her,
Absolutely.
except for the police chief.
Correct.
That's for the mayor to do.
Correct.
So she was well within her job description to let Shane go. Now, my question is there any recourse? Can the city council, because she works for the city council, let's remind everybody of that. The city council does not work for the city manager. The city manager works for the city council, and the city council works for us.
Correct.
Is there any avenue where the city council can come back now that this has happened and look at it and say, yay, nay, or indifference? Can that happen? I think that's a question that the city council needs to answer. Or, if Justin Graybell calls a meeting, something's got to be done to give me more than just two people complained, his car sat idle, and somebody didn't like the way he asked him for money.
Well, and I just got a text from someone that the idle policy is exempt to public safety vehicles for just exactly what I said about if you're, in a public vehicle, most citizens want somebody that goes by with a logo on,
So if that's
verified,
verifiable,
Right.
that public safety vehicles are exempt from that.
So there,
There's
what I'm
one
saying.
plant
Let's
gone.
Throw it out, gone. So now we're down to United.
Now we're
Way
talking about
and
now we're talking about
gossip.
3 citizens
Yeah.
could get a person fired
to get a person fired
without any investigation.
And again, if I were on the city council, and I'm not, but if I were an elected official, this would be, I would be all over this. I wouldn't be taking the comments that we got from the Gazette from one of the council members as, well,
I support the charter.
It's within the charter, and because you know what, you deserve to be unelected if that's your opinion, and I'll get somebody to run against you to do that.
By the way, his comments were 100% correct. The charter does give the city manager the ability to fire people that are underneath the city manager.
But the charter does not give the city manager the authority to fire somebody based on no due process, no warranted cause, and which we're starting to see. Now we're down to 2 out of the 3. We've already washed away 1,
and 1 2 years ago was never documented.
Never documented. The man has not been punished. He doesn't have any what do they call that?
Rips or write-ups in his
file.
jacket. Yeah.
He, as far as from a community perspective, and this is not just Sue Mosley's perspective, because I'm out there everywhere. This man has a great presence. He's at he judged my stupid Christmas parade. That is nobody wants to do that. It's
Okay,
a thankless job.
First off, it's not a stupid Christmas
That's
parade.
right.
Okay?
It's the largest nighttime Christmas parade in the state of Florida, and we're number 3 in
The
the
person
nation
running it
as
may
far
have
as
some
events.
issues.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Well, believe me,
But
I'll go on record as saying that. Huh?
My point is, I have dealt with fire chiefs, police chiefs in 30 years in every Bellevue, Dunellen, county, city. I've dealt with them all. Shane is one of the few fire chiefs, because we don't get a lot from fire because they think they're segregated and they're only about fire and they don't have to do all this. But Shane was, like I said, that's why Brad Clark was removed, because he didn't have a community presence. He had no political presence. He was always behind his desk. He never got out from behind there. He didn't really know what was going on in his own department, and they lost confidence in him.
I
and
met
took
Brad
him out.
Clark. I met Brad Clark the first time when he had been named chief. He come on the radio, spoke with me and Buddy on the radio, introduced himself to the community, never once again did he sent people from the fire department. Never once again did he come do the radio show. Shane has done my program since I've been back on the air in October. Shane has come on this program 3 separate times.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Shane has been exemplary for everything that the city council has wanted out of a fire chief. He has gone above and beyond. And let's go back to, first of all, the man is a U.S. Navy veteran, 27 years with Ocala Fire Rescue. We like for our seasoned veterans that stay in Ocala to come up the ranks.
Started as a paramedic.
Come up the ranks and then be leadership. Greg Graham is a great example of that. Mike Balkin. We like that. We don't like outsiders coming in. We have experience of outsiders coming in. Brad Clark, Sam Williams for the police department. We've seen how that never works. It ruins the morale in the organization. It starts a lot of dissension and division amongst the ranks. And when you have a bunch of men in groups, they gossip like washwomen.
Well, there are men and women both on the fire department and the police department.
I know, but I was, making a dig at males.
I understand.
So
that's why I wouldn't let you do that.
I had to get one in. But you know what I'm saying. So I feel this was very unjust, and we can't let it be a precedent.
We got about a minute to go, and I get paid for my opinion. I bring you on the show to give your opinion.
I get nothing, not even a damn donut.
This is not even.
Nothing.
I mean,
not even water. You didn't even give me water.
I got like some Pop-Tart bites if you want that.
I ate before I came because I know how you are.
Give me your opinion on what's really behind this.
Well,
Sue Mosley's opinion.
My rabbit trail leads back to this is a political hit, Democrat versus Republican, and we are looking at the local Democrats looking to take a takeover of city council because it's been Republican-led for years. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Sue Mosley, you can hear her here periodically. You can also read.
I'm not coming back.
Every day, yeah. No, you're coming back. We're just telling who people are. You can also read her on her political forums. But we'll be back with more because there's more to this story than just what we've told you so far. We'll be back after this timeout on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. As soon as I get to where I'm supposed to be going, you're listening to WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
It's time for Farm the Ranch headlines on the Southeast TechNet. I'm Tyron Scribner reporting. The American Peanut Council represents all segments of the peanut industry and recently issued their situation report as they apply for federal grants to help promote peanuts abroad. Here is an update on some of their comments. The domestic market, they say, comprises about 70% of the total demand for U.S. peanuts on average. Domestic production is utilized as 56% peanut butter, 19% snacks, peanut candy 16%, and other uses such as ingredients 9%. Peanut exports
$15 million in repairs just to bring it to code. On Sunday, the United States conducted airstrikes against the Iran